Think you could survive a single day in the real Wild West? Forget what Hollywood showed you. This was a world where hunger, disease, violence, and nature all conspired to kill you. Let's find out if you'd make it past breakfast. Your eyes snap open to darkness, not the comforting kind you know from modern bedrooms with blackout curtains and soft blankets, This is grim, filthy black. You've spent the night on a straw-filled sack, laid on warped wooden planks in a cabin that smells like mildew, sour breath, and old sweat. Your back screams in protest as you sit up. Something itches under your shirt. You scratch bed bugs, lots of them. Welcome to Dead Elk Crossing. Population unknown, but likely decreasing. The first sound you hear is coughing. Not yours, someone else's, just outside the wall. Deep, painful, phlegmy coughing. Tuberculosis, maybe, or dust lung. No one talks about it because what's the point? Death is just part of the scenery. You reach for your boots. They're stiff, still damp from yesterday's sudden downpour. You tip one upside down and knock it against the wall. A scorpion falls out, twitching. You kill it with your boot heel. 1 second slower and you'd have started your day with a trip to the graveyard if anyone had the time to dig a grave for you. The sun hasn't risen, but you can already feel the dry heat pressing in through the cracks in the wooden walls. No insulation, no windows, no mercy. You throw on yesterday's clothes, your only clothes. In fact, a canvas shirt rubbed raw under the arms, stained trousers, and boots that don't quite fit. Hygiene isn't part of life out here. Water's too precious. It's for drinking, not washing. You sniff your armpit. Mistake. You gag, but no time to care. Outside the town is waking up. Chickens squawk, a dog limps past, chasing nothing, and somewhere, someone is yelling at a mule. The air smells like dung and smoke and gunpowder. Dust hangs like fog. Your mouth is already dry. You spit brown from the grit you breathed in your sleep. Dead Elk Crossing isn't on any map you'd recognize. It grew up around a dried-up river, a broken mine, and desperation. There's one saloon, one store, no sheriff, and plenty of trouble. The townsfolk, those who haven't died, left, or lost their minds, are all too tired to say good morning. They just nod, grunt, or ignore you entirely. A smile here is rare, and usually means someone's about to rob you. You hear footsteps behind you. You turn, hand on your belt where a revolver should be, but you're unarmed. You haven't earned that right yet. You're just the new guy. The man nods, spits near your boot, and walks past. Welcome to the Wild West, where you don't get a warm welcome, just another chance to prove you can live through the day. You take your first real step out onto the dusty road. Every part of you aches, your stomach grumbles. You have no plan, no money, and no idea where your next meal is coming from. You survive the night. Now let's see if you can survive the day. You're starving. Your stomach growls like a caged animal, demanding attention. It's a sound that echoes in the silence of the cabin. Breakfast in Dead Elk Crossing doesn't involve eggs or bacon, at least, not unless you're lucky enough to find them. Here, breakfast means whatever is left after the previous day's labor and what you can get your hands on. Inside the shack where the locals gather for their meals, the air is thick with the stench of unwashed bodies and stale smoke. The old woman, Marla, hands you a tin plate with a glum look on her face. Beans, biscuits, and coffee, she mutters, like it's a statement of fact, not a suggestion. The beans are bland, no seasoning, just boiled to mush. The biscuits, more like rocks, a hard, dry lump that sticks to the roof of your mouth. You chew with the grim determination of someone who knows this is all they'll get. There's no butter or jam, no sweet tea. This is survival food, plain and simple. Marla's thick, weathered hands slide a tin cup of coffee across the counter. It looks like tar, dark and bitter. You pick it up, hoping for some comfort in its warmth, but it's like drinking hot, bitter gravel. They boil it for hours to get whatever flavor they can from it. Sometimes they throw in eggshells or salt to cut the bitterness. It's hard to tell the difference between the two. You drink it anyway. Caffeine is caffeine. There are no plates or cups of fancy china. No napkins. You just eat. And you eat fast, before someone else decides they're hungrier than you. As you shovel another bite of beans into your mouth, you glance around the room. There's a boy in the corner, a small, pale thing with a wet cough. His eyes dart nervously, his chest rattling with each breath. No one says anything. No one looks his way. Marla catches you looking at the boy. Don't mind him, she says dismissively, as if it's nothing. He's been sick for weeks. If he doesn't make it, well, that's just the way it goes. The thought hangs in the air, thick and oppressive. In Dead Elk Crossing, if you're sick, you die no two ways about it. There's no doctor here, just Doc Sawyer, who's probably as drunk as everyone else by now. Your best chance is to pray your body fights whatever disease you've caught, but who are you kidding? People don't survive long here. You finish your breakfast without a word, scraping the last bits of beans from the bottom of the tin plate. Marla doesn't even offer to refill your cup, but then again, you don't need more. The coffee's enough to keep you awake, and that's the goal. To stay alert in a world where the slightest lapse in focus can kill you. You make a quick exit. Outside, the dry air slaps you in the face, as if reminding you that nothing here is gentle. There's no real law here, not like the stories of brave sheriffs or marshals keeping the peace. In Dead Elk Crossing, the only thing that keeps people in line is fear of the wild, fear of hunger, and, most of all, fear of one another. You'd be a fool to think you could trust anyone. As you step into the street, you notice how empty the town feels. There's no bustle of life, no children playing, no neighbors chatting across picket fences. Instead, the whole place feels like a powder keg, waiting to explode. Most of the buildings are run-down, half-finished saloons, sagging storefronts, and homes that look like they're just waiting for a strong gust of wind to collapse them. Past the saloon, the heart of every Wild West town, where rough men go to drink away their misery and try to forget how hard life is. You hear the rattle of dice, the clink of cheap glasses, and a man's harsh laugh that seems to scrape the very air. Inside, the noise and the smoke swirl together, creating an almost suffocating atmosphere. The bartender pours something from a bottle that looks more like oil than whiskey. It's probably raw alcohol mixed with tobacco juice to make it drinkable. The saloon isn't the place for you, at least. Not yet. It's not the kind of place you'd want to get involved in unless you're looking for trouble. It's where most of the violence happens: fistfights, stabbings, and sometimes shootings. The kind of violence that doesn't make it into the movies. It's messy, sudden, and over something as trivial as a drunken word or a bad bet. No one cares if you're a hero or a villain. You either fight or run. You continue walking, eyes scanning the street. You pass a few men, rough, weathered, all armed. They don't greet you, but their eyes follow you, making sure you're no threat. You reach for your belt and feel the absence of your gun. You're unarmed. Just another stranger passing through, but even without a weapon, you still need to be careful. There's a local rule in towns like this: don't mess with the wrong person. You know the stories, people disappear in places like Dead Elk Crossing. No one knows what happened to them. No one cares. The sheriff's office is just as deserted as the rest of the town. There's no law here, not really. The only justice is what people bring with their own hands. Sometimes the local marshal will hold a trial if it's bad enough, but most times, justice is delivered on the spot. It's no surprise that lawless towns like this breed violence. Without any real system to control it, people get desperate. The town's criminals and the men trying to make an honest living are often indistinguishable. Everyone here carries a weapon, but not for the reasons you might think. It's not to feel tough, it's to stay alive. That's quiet in Dead Elk Crossing, but not the peaceful kind of quiet. It's the kind of quiet that feels like the calm before a storm. The wind blows the dust down the street, whistling through cracks in the walls and making everything feel just a little bit more fragile. Life here isn't easy, but that's what people signed up for. The promise of land, the freedom to do as they please, to stake a claim in a place where no one can tell them how to live. But freedom in the Wild West comes with a heavy price. As you walk through the town, you notice how everyone keeps their distance. The men are all hardened by years of hard work and harder living. They keep their heads down, rarely making eye contact. They don't trust anyone, least of all newcomers like you. The women, though fewer in number, have the same hard look in their eyes, though it's mixed with a kind of exhaustion. They wear the weight of frontier life on their shoulders, cooking, cleaning, keeping the home running, all while their husbands are out working the land or, more often than not, sitting in the saloon. As you move past the small, unmarked graves on the outskirts of town, you wonder how many of the people here came for a better life and how many stayed because they had nowhere else to go. The land offers freedom, but it's a cruel, unforgiving kind of freedom. The weather can kill you, the wildlife can kill you, and the people around you might just kill you for a nickel or a piece of land. You think about the journey west. People didn't just come here for the adventure. They came here to escape something: poverty, debt, the law, or even themselves. Everyone has a story, but no one wants to share it. Everyone is running from something. In the end, it's that loneliness, that constant struggle to survive, that breaks people. It's why men die young here, why women grow older in the span of a year. It's not the lack of food or water, but the constant battle. It grinds you down until there's nothing left but dust and bones. And yet, despite it all, you can't help but feel a strange pull to stay. The freedom is intoxicating, but it's a dangerous game to play. In Dead Elk Crossing, freedom isn't free, it costs more than you're willing to pay. If you think life in town is tough, the real danger lies beyond the wooden shacks, in the mines. You've heard the stories. Miners are often the first to die when things go wrong, and there's no shortage of things that can go wrong. The mines here in Dead Elk Crossing are the lifeblood of the town, well, the lifeblood of what's left of it, but the only thing that's mined here is the promise of gold, buried deep beneath the earth. And for the handful of miners left in town, that promise comes at a high price. You make your way to the edge of town where the mine shafts stand, deep and dark like gaping wounds in the earth. The men who work here don't talk much. They don't need to. The mine speaks for them. The walls are cold and wet, and every breath you take is thick with dust and toxic fumes. You know there's a chance you could die down there just from inhaling the air. The risk isn't just in the air. Mines collapse. Explosions happen. The ground trembles underfoot sometimes, and you wonder if the next step will be your last. The miners, however, have learned to live with it. They don't ask questions. They dig. They haul. They pray they get out alive. You stand at the entrance to the mine, watching the men head inside. Their faces are grim, their eyes hollow with exhaustion. No one here is afraid of death. They've seen it too many times. But there's one thing. They all want a payday, a chance to strike it rich. If they're lucky, they'll walk out with gold. If they're unlucky, they'll never walk out at all. You've heard the stories, seen the films, maybe even read the books, but the truth of a gunfight in the Wild West isn't as romantic as the legends make it out to be. It's not about quick draws or duels at high noon. It's not about honor or glory or fame. In fact, most of the time, it's messy, impulsive, and over something as trivial as a spilled drink or a bad hand of cards. The townspeople of Dead Elk Crossing don't talk much about at least not the real ones. They're too busy surviving. Yet, as you walk past the saloon, the air seems thick with the potential for violence. You can feel it in the way the men glance around, checking the shadows, their hands always near their weapons. Here everyone's armed, but not because they're looking for trouble. They carry weapons because they need to. Guns are tools for survival, not just self-defense. They are used for hunting, for protection against wildlife, and sometimes, unfortunately, for protection from other people. But that doesn't mean trouble won't find you. And when it does, there's no time. To think it happens fast. One wrong word, one bad look, and you'll find yourself facing down a man with a gun in his hand. The gunfight won't be the choreographed showdowns you've seen in movies. It'll be a blur of shouting, desperate movements, and the sound of a trigger pulled too quickly. In Dead Elk Crossing, you don't just get into a gunfight with someone over a disagreement, you get into it because you've crossed a line. It might be something you didn't even know existed, but that's how things work out here. When someone pulls a gun, you don't ask questions. You move, or you don't. If you make it out of the gunfight, you'll be lucky. If you don't, well, you won't be around to see how it ends. There's no ambulance to take you to the hospital, no doctors to fix the damage. If you're shot, you either heal on your own, or you die. The aftermath of a gunfight is just as ugly. There's no formal investigation, no trial. If you're dead, you're forgotten, buried in an unmarked grave at the edge of town. If you're lucky enough to survive, the best you can hope for is a cold, silent stare from the locals. A reminder that everyone here is just one wrong move away from meeting the same fate. Isolation is a constant in Dead Elk Crossing. It's a town that time forgot, sitting on the edge of the world, far from civilization, and it shows. The land here is vast, empty, and unforgiving. The nearest town is days away, and even then, it's nothing more than a dot on the map. The nearest doctor is weeks away by horseback. If you're lucky enough to find one, out here you rely on your own hands, your own wits, and the help of your neighbors. You can even call them that. Trust is a rare commodity in a place like this. People don't share much, don't ask for help unless absolutely necessary, and even then they don't expect it to be given freely. Everyone's struggling, and no one has time to care about anyone else. The lack of contact with the outside world takes a toll on the people who live here. It wears them down, day by day, until they forget what it's like to be part of something larger. The idea of family, of community, becomes a distant memory, and all that matters is survival. Some of the older folks can remember when things were different, when the town was filled with hope, when people came here looking for opportunity. But those days are long gone. Mail is a rare commodity. A letter takes weeks, sometimes months, to arrive, if it ever arrives at all. The newspapers are outdated by the time they get here, and information is passed along by word of mouth, usually exaggerated to the point of being unrecognizable. You're left in the dark, isolated from the world, and it's easy to lose track of time. Days blend into weeks. Months slip by unnoticed, and that isolation breeds despair. People here don't smile much, don't laugh, and they certainly don't cry. To do so would be seen as weakness, and weakness can kill you out here. Those who can't cope with the isolation either break down or leave. Most choose the former. The bars are filled with men who've lost their families, their dreams, their sense of purpose. They drown their sorrows in cheap whiskey, hoping it will numb the pain of the life they're stuck in. It's a life that doesn't care about you. You are nothing but another face in the dust, just another person trying to make it through another day. And yet, despite all of this, there's a strange attachment to the land, to the town, to the life that you've chosen. It's a place that you can't leave, even if you wanted to. There's no place like it, and no way to escape it. And so, you stay. Dead Elk Crossing may be small, but the land it sits on is valuable. At least it could be. To the settlers, the promise of land was worth everything. It was a chance to build something of your own, to escape the grinding poverty that had followed you all the way from the east. But that dream comes with a price, and the price is high. You can't simply take land out here. It's not like the city where you can sign a deed and call it your own. No, out here you have to fight for it, and if you don't fight hard enough, someone else will take it from you. Land disputes are common in Dead Elk Crossing. Some men claim plots that have been abandoned, others try to take land that isn't theirs, and still others take land simply because they can. There's no law out here to stop them. If you want land, you have to fight for it, and fighting for land out here isn't like anything you've seen before. It's brutal, it's violent, and it can cost you everything: your home, your family, your life. The land isn't just dirt and rocks. It's a symbol of survival. If you don't have land, you don't have anything, and if someone else takes what you've worked so hard for, you're nothing. You might as well be dead. The wind howls across the plains as the sun begins to set. The town of Dead Elk Crossing grows quieter with each passing minute, the shadows lengthening as if to swallow it whole. You've survived another day, but for how much longer? Your muscles ache from the labor, your stomach gnaws at you, reminding you that food is scarce, and your mind drifts to what could be next. The life of a settler here is a life of uncertainty. You can never be sure of what tomorrow will bring. Will the drought continue? Will disease sweep through the town? Will you be the one who doesn't make it through the night? The people here have a saying, only the strong survive, and it's true. The weak don't last long in the Wild West. The land, the people, the weather, it's all against you. Every day is a fight to stay alive, but in a way, it's also a way of life. There's something about the struggle that keeps you going, something about the fight that makes it worth it. Maybe it's the hope that one day things will get better. Maybe it's the knowledge that you're part of something bigger than yourself. Or maybe it's just that, in a place like this, the only choice is to survive. You can't give up, you can't quit. Not yet. The night falls quickly, and you find yourself standing at the edge of town, looking out over the endless, barren land. The stars above are bright and cold, but they offer no comfort. Out here there's no place to hide from the world, and as the wind picks up, you realize, this is it. This is your life. It's hard, it's unforgiving, but it's yours. And somehow, that's enough. The sun rises slowly over the hills, casting its harsh light on the world below. You wake up in your cramped, dark cabin, your body sore from the previous day's labor. The stench of sweat and dust fills the air. There's no time for comfort, no time for rest. The world keeps turning, whether you're ready for it or not. But even in this brutal reality, there's a strange peace to be found in the simplicity of it all. The harshness of the Wild West strips everything down to its rawest form. Survival, work, sleep, repeat. No distractions, no luxuries. Just the land, the people, and the fight to make it through another day. And as you step outside, the wind hits you, dry and biting, but it feels like home. The sun is up now, burning the land, and you know it won't be long before the heat becomes unbearable. But for now, you stand there, breathing in the dry air, feeling the weight of everything that has come before. Another sunrise, another day. But, in this world, that's all you can hope for. The heart of the frontier isn't in the grand tales of fortune or discovery. No, it beats in the quiet corners of forgotten towns like Dead Elk Crossing. It's in the dirt roads, the broken down cabins, and the bones of people who thought they could make something of themselves here. The frontier isn't a place for dreamers. It's a place for survivors. You've come to realize that the frontier is a land where the strong live and the weak are left behind. There's no room for weakness here, whether it's physical, emotional, or mental. The land doesn't care about your past, your regrets, or your dreams. It only cares about one thing: survival. You can feel it in the air. It's a constant pressure that weighs on your shoulders. A reminder that every step you take, every move you make could be your last. People don't get to live long here by accident. You have to fight for every breath, every meal, and every moment of peace. You stand in the middle of town, watching the men and women of Dead Elk Crossing go about their daily routines. They don't look at each other, don't smile, don't talk. The silence is deafening. It's as if they've all learned that talking doesn't change anything. There's no one to talk to anyway. The children are absent. There are no kids running through the streets, laughing and playing. The few children that were born here didn't live long enough to grow up. Disease, malnutrition, accidents, they all claimed their lives before they had a chance to see their teens. The people who survive here are the ones who learned not to care, not to hope, not to dream. They've turned their backs on everything but the barest essentials. Survival is the only goal. It's all that matters. That as you move through the town, you feel the weight of isolation pressing in. There's no escape. No one leaves Dead Elk Crossing. Not because they're forced to stay, but because they've run out of options. People come here seeking freedom, but they end up prisoners to the land, to the work, to the constant fight for survival. A few years ago, Dead Elk Crossing had a chance at a future. There were rumors of gold in the hills, of wealth waiting to be discovered, but that hope has long since been buried beneath the dust. The gold is gone, or it's just too hard to find. The miners who came looking for fortune are gone too, replaced by a handful of men too stubborn to leave. And yet, you're still here. You don't know why. Maybe it's the familiarity, the strange pull of the land that keeps you rooted. Maybe it's the realization that out here, you have nothing left but the fight to survive, the fight to make it one more day. In Dead Elk Crossing, there's nothing more valuable than your own strength. Without it, you're nothing. And as the sun begins to set, painting the sky in fiery hues of orange and red, you know that tomorrow will be just another battle. But that's all it is. Another day, another fight. And you're still here. In Dead Elk Crossing, the concept of friendship is a fragile thing. It's not something people seek out or offer easily here. People trust no one except perhaps those who have survived as long as they have. Friendship means something different out here. It's not based on companionship or camaraderie. It's based on need, on survival, on the cold understanding that in this harsh land, you're only as strong as the people around you. You've learned that the hard way. You didn't have any friends when you first arrived. People eyed you warily, sizing you up, wondering if you'd be another fool who thought the frontier was a place of freedom and fortune. But over time, you've begun to make a few acquaintances, people who aren't exactly friendly, but who you know you can rely on in a pinch. But it's not much, but it's something. There's a man named Jake, a miner who's been here longer than you. He's seen more death, more loss, than you could ever imagine. He's quiet, his face permanently marked by the sun and the hard life he's led. But he's always there when you need him, not because he likes you, but because you're both in the same boat. You need each other to survive. One evening, Jake comes to you with a request. It's not uncommon for people to ask for help around here, but this time, something about it feels different. Jake needs you to watch his back. He's heard about a group of outlaws in the area, and he's planning to confront them. He's not afraid, he's too hardened for that. But there's a kind of resignation in his eyes, as if he's already prepared for the worst. Asterisk. Help me, or don't, he says. But if they get me, I'll be dead anyway. At least I won't go alone. You agree, not because you want to, but because you understand. It's not about friendship, it's not about friendship, it's about survival. Jake's not asking for a companion, he's asking for someone who can help him fight, help him stay alive, even if only for a little longer. The two of you set out at dusk, moving quietly through the dusty streets. You don't talk much, because words here are like water, precious and rare. You're not friends, not in the way people back home would understand it. You're comrades, bound together by a shared fate, two people trying to make it through another day in the Wild West. When you find the outlaws, it's a quick, violent confrontation. There's no time for hesitation, no time for doubt. The fight is over before it begins, and the outlaws are left dead in the dirt. You don't feel relief, you don't feel pride, you just feel the same cold numbness you always do after violence. Jake doesn't thank you, he doesn't need to. You both know that in this world, words don't matter, only action does. And right now, you've both survived. But tomorrow it could all change. The wind begins to pick up in the late afternoon, a gust of cold air that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. It's the kind of wind that you've learned to fear. In Dead Elk Crossing, storms don't just arrive, they descend, swift and violent, like a predator in the night. You can feel it coming. The air shifts, thickens, as if the earth itself is holding its breath. The sky darkens, heavy with the weight of the storm, and the town falls eerily quiet. People begin to move quickly, heading for cover. The saloon empties out, and the doors to the general store slam shut. Everyone knows what's coming, and everyone knows they can't stop it. You've seen this before. The storms here don't mess around. They can sweep through the town in a matter of minutes, tearing apart buildings, flooding the streets, and leaving destruction in their wake. There's no warning system, no emergency services to call. The storm is the only thing that holds true power in this part of the world. It's nature at its most unforgiving. As the first raindrops begin to fall, you take shelter under the awning of the general store. The wind howls, and the rain comes down in sheets, as if the heavens themselves are angry. You huddle against the building, watching as the storm rips through the town. The streets turn into rivers, and the dirt roads that were once cracked and dry are now filled with rushing water, carrying debris with it. The storm rages on for hours. The buildings creak and groan as the wind howls around them. You hear the sound of something heavy crashing in the distance. You don't want to know what it is. All you can do is wait, watching the destruction unfold around you, knowing that there's nothing you can do to stop it. When the storm finally passes, the town is unrecognizable. The saloon is half gone, the roof torn off, and the general store is flooded. The streets are filled with debris, and the air is thick with the smell of wet wood and earth. It's the same every time. The storm leaves nothing behind but ruin, and it takes days to rebuild. But that's the reality of living here. You can't control the storm, you can only survive it. The storm has passed, but the damage it's left behind is impossible to ignore. The town is in ruins, and the work to rebuild begins almost immediately. People move in silence, pulling together what they can, using whatever materials are left to patch up their homes and businesses. It's the same as it always is in Dead Elk Crossing. When the storm hits, you rebuild. When it's over, you keep living. But this time, something's different. You notice the change in the air, in the way the people move, in the way they talk. It's subtle at first, just a quiet tension that hangs over the town. No one says anything, but you can feel it. The land is growing tired of these people. It's taking its toll, and the longer they stay here, the more it's going to cost them. The question hangs in the air like the storm clouds that just passed. Will you survive this time, or will the land take what's left of you, just like it's taken so many before? You look around at the faces of the people rebuilding the town. They're tired, they're worn. Some of them are even smiling, as if the storm was just another inconvenience, something to get through before they go back to their work. But you know better. There's nothing in Dead Elk Crossing that's worth saving anymore. The land will take from you until there's nothing left, and then it'll take you, too. The town is broken, the people are broken, and you are too. It's hard to admit, but you know it's true. The Wild West was never the place you thought it was. It was never the place anyone thought it was. Dead Elk Crossing isn't home anymore. It's a graveyard, a place where people come to die slowly, buried by the land, the storms, and the endless struggle. There's no room for hope here, no room for anything but the will to survive. And you're tired of it. It's time to go. But where will you go? The frontier stretches out before you, endless and unforgiving. The road behind you is filled with ghosts, with broken dreams and forgotten promises. There's no turning back now. The only way forward is into the unknown. But that's all you can do. Keep moving, keep surviving, because in the Wild West, the end of the road is never truly the end. It's just another chapter, waiting to be written.